Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim. We talk about horror movies on this show. And this week, we are actually talking about a relatively new release. It's one we skipped at the theatres, but now that it's on home video, we are diving in head first. We are going to talk about Blumhouse's Truth or Dare. Did you notice on the title screen it said Blumhouse's Truth or Dare? They didn't just say Truth or Dare.
Yeah. They're really trying to bank on at least trying to maybe get some extra tickets out of Blumhouse's name. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I guess like it's so weird to me though, because like all the good films Blumhouse has put out, and not one of them's like Blumhouse's,
Right.
Whatever. I'm trying to think of one.
If it's a good film, then they don't need to like advertise it. If it's a pile of shit like this, hey, spoiler alert, this movie sucks. But yeah, like something like this, they gotta do whatever they can to try to get people to watch it.
Yep, that about sums it up.
I'm surprised like it wasn't called like from the studio that brought you Get Out is Truth or Dare.
I'd be like, Get Out. That was a quality joke, Tim. That laugh was not adequate for the amount of joke that I just dropped on you. So we'll start spoiler free.
Oh, I thought you meant my joke was quality. Sorry.
oh god, no. So we'll start spoiler free. We'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers. And Tim already kind of played his hand because I usually ask him the question at the start. What do you think of this movie? But he already called it a piece of shit. So I guess that kind of sums it up. All right, okay, nothing to add. So we will.
Sorry. What? You want me to go into it, or how did you feel about it? I imagine you liked it, but
you imagine I liked it. Oh dear. Joe, it's funny actually. I looked at the I've got the IMDb page up as I usually do because I mean I'm never going to remember any of these characters' names. Are you kidding me? But the director Jeff Wadlow, I was like, I recognize that name. What did I know his name from? He directed Kick-Ass 2. Which was like a disaster of a film, and it was like a hurtful disaster because I liked the first one so much. So now I hate this even more because it's made by that asshole. So that's a thing. Cars outside beating their horns at Tim's. How rude! How rude of them. But yeah, so
I need like one of those studio lights when they're like recording it flashes red or whatever.
Oh, for the entire street outside, just so they know to be quiet, tiptoe past the window. Yeah, no, it should do that. So yeah, I guess I should give a premise of what Truth or Dare is, beyond just being a piece of shit. A group of college kids who have the personalities of I don't want to quite say a wet blanket, but like it's like
tofu.
Tofu. They're blank slates.
They're all just big blocks of tofu.
Yeah, they're nothing. They're absolutely nothing. They're so light and like empty. Like, I mean, yeah, there's one who's kind of the asshole. There's one who's kind of the sexual deviant. But I feel like there's this thing now where they even in a horror movie like this, they refuse to just do the archetypes like a movie from the 80s would. And well, yeah, okay, so sure, movies from the 80s you'd have all these stereotypical characters. At least because they lent into it, they still had personalities that you remember. I watch a movie like this, and I'm like, these are all just blank, vanilla, like, ice cream. Not even ice cream. Ice cream's better than these people. I don't know what to call them.
Yeah. It's also kind of strange because there's no like context for the relationship. Like the main character Olivia seems to have this really volatile relationship against kind of the asshole character. I think that's Tyson. But like they hate each other and they kind of get in these like arguments and stuff, but there's never like I kept waiting for there to be like at least some mention of like, oh well, you've never liked him since he did this to you or something or whatever. But no, it's never brought up. It's just like a weird like, why are they even in the same group when like they hate each other? And then the same thing with like the kind of like annoying pervy guy Ronnie. It was hard to tell like, all right, is he part of the gang or is he just tagging along? Like, I don't get, is he annoying but like in a frat, or is he like kind of like a loser that wants to be like in a frat kind of thing? Like, but there's really like no context for anything.
No, there's not. They're just kind of these weird blank slates that there's like a little bit of character for one or two of them because it's plot relevant later, but that's about it. Like, that's all you get.
And it really like comes out of nowhere. It's kind of just like this big heavy plot drop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
they are complete, just empty vacuums of character. Like I always because
it's also kind of.
I was gonna say, like, me and Connor watched Jaws last week.
Perfect movie. I love that movie.
Right, and one of the things that we were talking about in that movie is how all the main characters, within like 30 seconds of meeting them, all their scenes that you first get introduced to them in, they all, in a couple of lines of dialogue, give you a sense of who they are, what their personalities are. You immediately get, the Brody's relationship with his wife and his sense of humor. You immediately get that Hopper's got a bit of a sarcastic streak, the way he talks to the boatman. Quint's got this great introduction where he's very mysterious. Like,
oh yeah,
they all have something. And obviously Quint's more over the top because he's this big, scratching the board and like scaring the shit out of everyone. But like even the others, like it's very simple and subtle, but they give you something. It's like, okay, here's this character is. But here we have like nothing of an introduction for any of the characters really. And what is there just feels like it's taken out of like a grab bag. Like, oh, our main character will make the audience sympathize with her because she wants to build houses for the poor. That's basically it. It's like, oh, instant sympathy because she wants to do a nice thing.
Yeah, and then and of course they kind of, I feel like they're trying to kind of play her off as like she's kind of a loser, but again it's that Hollywood thing where it's like, all right, like but she is gorgeous and there's no way that like they make it seem like she's having trouble finding like guys and stuff, and it's like there's no way like people wouldn't be like throwing themselves at her and stuff like, but oh she's so yeah, she just wants to build houses and I don't know.
It feels kind of like, it's funny I'm going to say this because Violett Beane, who plays Marky, was on The Flash, but who I did not recognise at first. She has blonde hair in this, and I did not recognise her for a long time. It took a long time to clock that it was her, but it really does.
Wait, I'm gonna. All right, I don't watch The Flash, but let me just venture a guess here. Does she play a hero or a villain?
Who's a hero?
A hero. Is she Jesse Quick?
She is Jesse Quick. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, to be fair, once I said hero, how many female heroes could it have been?
Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly. Shut up. But no, so like it has all the worst qualities of what I would like when people joke about, oh, it's got a CW cast. It has all the even actual CW casts are better cast than this. Like as much as sure you watch The Flash, you watch whatever, and they're all like really attractive. There's still like high points in the casting. There's still actors that stick out. Whereas here, like they're all, and admittedly, this is all partly beyond the director's fault for not directing them into better performances, for not the script's fault for not giving them better characters. But they all just feel like, oh, we're just pretty people, and that's the only reason why we're here, and that's it. Yeah. That's it. And sure, it's not like they didn't cast attractive people in the 80s. They did, but like they usually at least cast one ugly person to be the loser. Like,
oh yeah.
They would do that at least. And like I say, they'd have more character, they'd be more entertaining because they were over the top. Whereas here there's nothing over the top. It's just bog standard, like out of a do you know what this movie feels like? It feels like it was put through like a generator. Like like a computer generator where you just say, I want a horror movie with some supernatural elements, and it just kinda like the computer just like randomized a couple of things from other movies and just churned it out. That's what it feels like.
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt. And well, first of all, actually, I just want to take it back a little bit. So, are you comfortable with going on the record and saying that this is a worse movie than Jaws?
I am willing to confirm that at this point in the show. Yes, I think I've reached the point where I can reveal that I think Jaws, the 1975 classic that actually invented the summer blockbuster, is a better film than Truth or Dare. Sorry, Blumhouse's Truth or Dare.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way. Also, like one thing I find that like really funny is all right, so like the whole kind of crux of the movie is that they're playing this cursed.
I was supposed to tell you the premise, and then I went on a 20-minute rant about the how bad the characters were. I apologize. Yes, premise.
I mean, it's super easy. Obviously, that they're playing like a cursed game of Truth or Dare. So they're forced to play, and if you pick Dare, then you have to do a Dare. If you pick Truth, you have to say a truth, and then it usually ends up being something kind of dangerous or disastrous. And you know,
Yeah.
if you don't do it, you'll die or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just think it's like,
See, before we move any further than that, though, I wanted to bring up how they're asked truth or dare, because
God damn it, yeah.
the moment, I mean, the movie was already terrible and vapid and empty, right? It was empty. That's how I describe it. It just feels empty and soulless. But the moment where it dived into absolute disaster territory is the first time one of them gets asked truth or dare, you know, by the demon or whatever you want to call it. Other people around them, right? They won't actually do this, but the character who's been asked truth or dare will see them do this. They'll basically ask them truth or dare, but they do this really awful, like, Joker-esque smile where they go, and they tilt their head down and they
so
put this
bad.
big grin, and it feels so hokey. It feels like some really bad student film where they thought this would be creepy, and it's not. It looks stupid. And when you have like 5 people in a row all doing this in front of them, it just looks stupid. There's nothing creepy about it. It's silly.
This was horrendous. Like, I mean, without this, like, it still would have been like a crappy movie, but whatever. I don't think it would have been like just a more, you know, whatever. All right, just typical generic blah 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 movie. But this added element makes it so dumb and goofy, and like I don't understand how this is scary to anyone. And it just looks like, you know, and this almost feels kind of like a millennial social media kind of like horror movie or something, because like when you see it, it looks like, I don't know, just dumb like pictures that people take that they manipulate, and then someone even mentions in the movie like it looks like a Snapchat filter, and I was like, oh god, like but I don't know.
By the way, one of the worst lines of dialogue ever uttered in movie history is "it looks like a Snapchat filter."
Oh yeah, it is absolutely awful. Like I really can't comprehend like this choice that was made. Like I'm sure there's like it would have just been creepier just to have like someone like looking really normal and like staring at you blankly or something like that. Like, but
it feels
whatever.
try hard. Do you know what I think's really impressive about it in a bad way? Is that it's really silly, goofy, and pathetic, but somehow it's not funny enough to actually be enjoyable.
Word. Yeah, so like I had heard earlier in the year that people are saying like this is this year's Bye Bye Man, which actually made me kind of excited because Bye Bye Man was awful, but I think in a fascinating way. Like, horrible movie, but it is kind of interesting to think about like where the hell did this all come from? And I mean, this movie wishes it was Bye Bye Man. Like it's really bad, but not in an interesting way.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I think overall it's not as bad as Bye Bye Man, right? It's like, it's actually less interesting to watch and talk about because it's just so plain and generic and in the worst possible way. If I was going to compare it to a movie from last year, like, you know, it's this year's whatever, like, I feel like, I don't know, something like Satanic maybe would be the better thing to compare it to.
Actually, yeah, I can definitely see that.
Or was that the year before? Whatever year that was, I don't know. Yeah,
it's definitely that level of movie. I mean, I'm surprised this was in the theaters. Like it was really kind of, you know, just thrown in. I don't think it was probably in the theaters very long.
Oh yeah,
but
it came out on a Friday the 13th in April, and that was the big thing. It's Friday the 13th. People want to go see a horror movie, so they're duped into this, and that's what I'd call it. They're duped. They're duped into this garbage. So that's the thing. So they get truth or dare. If it's a truth, it typically the demon knows something that'll be hard for them to answer, so they'll pick like a really dark secret for them to reveal.
So this is kind of what I was like leaning into earlier. Like it's first of all, it's kind of annoying that like there's this demon or whatever, but it seems like, you know, he's less concerned with like killing them as he is like causing drama. Like he's putting so much effort into like trying to rip these friends apart. And also, like, I think it's weird. Like, I don't know about you, but I was thinking about it, and I was like, everyone has like these big, dark, deep, like revealing secrets that if the other friends find out, it would just devastate the whole group. I was like, if it was me and my friends, like, we would like maybe we'd have embarrassing things to say, but nothing that would be like, oh man, like we can't be friends anymore. Like,
I can't think of anything. Well, I mean, other than that fact. You know, on the fact that I maybe murdered one of your family members, but other than that, there's not a whole lot that would you know, make us fall out. I don't think we'd probably learn some weird things about each other that, you know, we'd probably rather not tell, but not because it's like a deep dark secret, just because oh, I don't want him to know how I wash my feet. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
stuff like that.
Yeah, like, you know,
I feel like if there's anything like to tear us apart, it'd probably be like some dumb, like I don't know, one of our thoughts on like uh, I don't know, some dumb movie that we like.
yeah. But to be fair, you already know my feelings on the Hellboy movies that Del Toro made, so I mean, we've already got through
It's
the
true,
worst
yeah.
possible thing we could have had. So, you know, it's a stupid premise. But here's the thing: like, what frustrated me is that I could almost see how it could turn into a good movie. Because you know something I love, Tim, in horror, especially in movies like this.
Rules.
Yes, rules. I love rules, and I felt like this movie kept not actually just setting up rules that would have made it more fun, and it almost did it at one point. And I kept thinking, like, if you actually set up rules, because I was starting to think, like, okay, what if you run out of things that the demon thinks are interesting to ask for truth, or what if you just make sure no one can get to you, or what if you like find a loophole, or what, like, I kept trying to think of like how can we like use this against them. And one of the things that I came up with is it's kind of copying Final Destination, but at one point a character who's not supposed to be next, because that's one of the things is that, like Final Destination, the order they were playing in the night where they sort of get, you know, attached to the curse, is the order they're going through like now. And
Wait, first of all, can I just say something about that real quick? Like, I don't know if you ever played Truth or Dare, but my understanding is that, you know, you ask someone Truth or Dare, they do it, and then they ask someone next. But like when they're playing it, they're just going all over. Like everyone was just jumping in, and like it seemed like there was no real order when they first started playing. So that just is stupid, but that bugged me.
I never actually noticed, but yeah, cool.
Like if you watch that like initial scene, it's not like, oh, I ask you something, you do it, then you ask the next person. It's like they would ask someone, and then someone would be like, oh, well, wait, well, what about this? And then someone else jump in, what about this? What about this? It's like, no, that's not how you play.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, I was never a big Truth or Dare guy. I've always kind of thought it was a dumb game.
It's a dumb game. Yeah.
If I'm honest with you, I think it's a stupid game. It's a stupid game designed to do nothing and make people do or say things they don't want to. I'm like, what's the point? No one wins.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of those things that it's like maybe young people play because it's like you always get the maybe you'll get to like kiss the person you like or something. Like, I feel like that's usually what it is.
Yeah. Which is kind of something someone brings up is that, wait, we're like 23, why are we playing Truth or Dare? This is stupid.
Yeah.
Although that said, they constantly they constantly show throughout the film that they aren't willing to actually just be adults about things and actually talk to each other about their feelings. So maybe they do need stupid games like Truth or Dare. So I don't know.
Which is like, it's such like a dumb horror cliche, but it's like, yeah, they do find out these truths, which admittedly is like, you know, pretty devastating stuff that would make you angry and want to leave your friends. But at the same time, under the circumstances, wouldn't you be like, all right, we have to stick together because of this crazy dumb game. Like, maybe let's not go like crazy and all separate and run all over the place.
Yeah.
But
but the point I was getting to though is that at one point someone dies who wasn't next, and I thought, oh, like, could they not do something with that? Like, would the demon maybe like not let her die or something? You know, like I thought, do something with this. You know, play with the rules and the thing you've established, and instead nothing really comes of it or is brought up ever again. All than some just general moping, but you know.
Now, here's what here's some of the stuff that I was thinking of. Like, all right, so when they do truth, like a lot of times they'll just like yell out, you know, this big thing.
Yeah, whisper it.
When I'm like, yeah, like whisper it, so like maybe at the very least not like the whole world hears it or whatever. And then like also, all right, like I'm gonna talk about one of the dares. So maybe like a very minor spoiler alert, but at one point, one of the dares is for one person to sleep with this other person. But I'm like, okay, like so just get in a bed and sleep with them. Like they're freaking out because they're like, oh no, we have to have sex with you. I'm like, technically that's not what they said. Like, couldn't you get away with just being like, all right, I slept with them. Like, you know,
yeah,
we
it's a
slept in the same
loophole.
bed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The creative loopholes. Listen to the phrasing and technically do what they said, and then they can't, you know, like kill you. Because that's the thing. If you don't do the dare, then the demon takes control and makes you commit suicide.
Like everyone always just jumps to the extreme. Like, well, I gotta do this. It's like, think about it for a second.
Yeah. Honestly, by the time that, by the point in the movie where that one comes up, I got really frustrated at like someone else being upset about it. I'm like, you know what? At this point, you've seen this demon like kill so many of your friends. Like, why would you even like question that this has to happen now? This is so stupid. Like that's like you said. That this demon seems less concerned with killing and more concerned with causing CW drama between the characters, the awful characters, might I add.
It's like an internet troll or something.
It kind of is, yeah. It's like that one shitty friend in high school who just wants to stir shit and
God.
oh yeah, by the way, she said this about you. Oh, he did this. Oh, he kissed her. Oh, drama is happening.
Which there's one character who, again, the asshole character, like actually does that before the demon even takes over. He just like calls out this one character, and I was like, why is he doing that?
Yeah, part of me was thinking he was just the demon the whole time. Like that was just him.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. No, I could have seen that. So it's really stupid. I guess is what we're saying. It's stupid. The whole like cheesy Joker smile that all the characters do when they're talking to the person being asked the truth or dare is absolutely horrible. It's almost embarrassing. You really just feel like. Like you can almost see the director in a room like with like some of the actors or whatever. Oh, let's try some things, and the first thing they try is like, that'll be creepy. Sure, let's do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that was the extent of the process. I don't know, maddening.
Listen, when you get a Wardlow, you're not getting quality. You're getting something that's gonna arrive on time, maybe like slightly under budget, like. That's what you get with the Wardlow promise. That's fair.
So,
I will say I thought the ending was stupid and
what a surprise!
Predictable, unoriginal, and made me mad.
Unfulfilling, yes. Well, none of it was fulfilling. Let's be honest. This is nothing about this is fulfilling.
Oh, sure.
So, as I get a spoiler warning, full spoilers, so we can dive in. So yeah, I felt like this was ripping off a few different things. Like I said, there's some Final Destination elements to stuff that was happening. There was definitely some Follows being used here. I felt as well.
Oh, sure.
Not well, of course, but it was definitely there.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. You know what? Before you're saying it's this year's Satanic or whatever, you know what I think actually might be a better comparison is like this year's Wish Upon.
Yeah. Except that had at least a really funny ending that made it all worth it.
That's true.
That had the funny ending that was, and it also had that great conversation where they try. It's like again how the human beings in this don't feel like they're talking like real human beings, and it feels so generic and plastic that it just doesn't feel real. Well, that had the conversation where he tried to like flirt with the girl because they were bonding over the existence of maybe the multiverse and like, oh, you like multiverses? I'm really into the multiverse theory. Yeah, let's talk about the multiverse.
Oh God.
That said, Jessie Quick's in this, and she is from an Earth 2 in The Flash. So somehow I've just connected the multiverse theory between the two films. I didn't know I could do that, but here we are. This is what's happening.
Okay.
This is what's happening. Yeah. Also, so here's my thing with the reason. So it feels really random at the start. So they're in Mexico for spring break. Which
is pretty easy to get to.
Yeah. The asshole guy who...
Because later on in the movie, they basically just, like, run to Mexico.
Yeah, they drive to Mexico like they're driving to another town. It just, like, there's a quick shot of them driving past the road sign saying, "Welcome to Mexico," and I'm like, I'm fairly certain there's more of a border than this.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like driving it to the town over. There's a different country. There's definitely a procedure here for this.
And one thing that really, really bugs me that I hate in movies, and again, going back to this kind of social media aspect they're trying to cater in on, like, I hate, like, when during the credits, it's just, like, a montage of, like, them kind of doing, like, posting pictures and, like, doing, like, you know, little, like, selfies and, like, you know, little, Snapchat, I don't know, like, Facebook videos or something. Yeah, like, that kind of stuff, being like, we're on spring break, ooh, hey, yo, kiss me, cutie, come on, blue, oh, look at this culture that's crazy, like, it's like, all right.
Yeah, nah, that bugs me as well. And I mean, hell, we opened the movie with Olivia, the main character, recording a video, trying to recruit fellow students for her building houses, which, by the way, never really comes up again. I mean, the whole point is really just the idea that she's a really good person who always thinks of others first. and that comes up multiple times throughout the film.
And it's very important though that we know that she has like a YouTube channel, because it'll come into play later at the end.
Yes, that'll come into play at the end. Yes, yes, yes. And here's the thing: it's people who actually post videos to YouTube. I have a hard time believing that her video spreads virally at the end as easy as it does. Because at the start of the film, it doesn't feel like she has a lot of like subscribers or followers or anything like that. It just feels like, oh yeah, she's got a small channel and it's whatever. But at the end of the film, like, you know, the entire world is watching her YouTube video. The entire world is watching. The world is watching. So you know, but so they go to Mexico, right? And the asshole, not the doctor, the med student asshole, the Ronnie, the sex pervert one. Who's just constantly trying to like get girls to kiss each other, and he's this just awful character. But he just runs into them. He doesn't go with them to Mexico. He runs into them in a different country.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I mean, I'm assuming that this is maybe the school they go to. That maybe it's a tradition that you go to this spot in Mexico or something, because it seems like it's really only white college kids that are there. Yeah. But yeah, it again, it's kind of weird. Like, how well does he know him? Like, is he
actually
a part of this group?
Just I'm thinking about it now. Like, when they're in Mexico, do we see actually any Mexicans?
No, I don't think so. I think it's like all just white college kids.
You do see like the Mexican store owner at the start and the other character scene. Yeah. But it's just a good point to bring up that we're in Mexico. I mean, never actually see any Mexicans, or at least not talk to any of them.
I guess, I mean, the closest is when they track down the original nun lady or whatever.
Yes. Oh, we can't forget the cliched tropey scene where we find the person who's dealt with this same curse like 20, 30 years ago. Yep. Because we have to do that in all of these stupid supernatural horror movies. Yeah. Oh, that scene drives me nuts, Tim. It drives me nuts. Oh my god.
Yeah.
At least they did the Bye Bye Man thing of typing in Bye Bye Man into Google and getting no results. Yeah. That would really upset me. If they typed in Truth or Dare curse, there's like no results. No, screw you. Something would come up for that. Anyway.
Wait, I forget. How did they find her? Did they do something like
well, that's the other thing. Even by like a shitty supernatural movie standards, it kind of like it kind of does it lazily. Like all this stuff, like all the elements of it. The research that finds the video of the girl who's already in the game, who burns the guy at the shop at the start, and finding the nun lady who was a part of it like years ago, like that just kind of happens. Like they just kind of find that, like just I've been researching and I found this. Like there's no build up to it or anything like that. It just kind of happens. No.
Also, like another kind of thing to complain about, like in terms of like what are the rules and stuff with this demon in this game, is sometimes it feels like they would have like a couple of minutes in between the next turn, and sometimes it feels like they would have like a whole day to just like go exploring and researching. Like what is the, you know, like what is the time frame here? Like, are you dealing with when? You know, like how much time do you have between stuff? I don't know. That bugged me.
That's the sort of thing that I'd forgive if the movie was good otherwise. Like I'd forgive the bending of time, because it's like, well, no, you want it to have the pace and be right, so it's whatever. I feel like so here's something that I actually thought was a good idea. I don't think it's used well in the movie.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's a good idea for this premise. The idea that eventually, like, the demon doesn't accept a dare. And then we find out from the girl who's already in that started this particular round of the curse, that they were playing their own version of Truth or Dare, which was if two truths happen in a row, the next person has to take a dare. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. That's a new rule. And that is something that affects, like, it's a reason for them not to pick truth. Because up until that point, it's like, well, why wouldn't you pick truth? Sure, you may say something you don't want anyone to hear, but you're not going to be asked to do something super dangerous, which is what all the dares seem to be. Other than the sex one, which was just purely to cause drama. Right? Yeah. But that was okay, right? That's a good idea. It means they have to be strategic with who's picking what, and they can kind of turn their backs on each other. That was potential in that idea. The movie squanders it because the whole thing is, oh, Olivia's too good. She's going to pick Dare because she's thinking of the other people too much. Like, screw you. screw you, movie. Well, I mean, where to go from me? I feel like we should probably talk about some of the actual dares and shit.
Okay.
So
Um,
the first one, obviously the asshole sex offender. He's the first one.
mhm,
Um, Now when I say sex offender, he's not actually a sex offender. He is just extremely sleazy, and he just
mhm,
constantly asks everyone. Like at the Truth or Dare, he's just asking girls to make out with each other constantly.
mhm.
And he's trying to hit
And
on,
like,
because at the bar just before he's there, he's like, "Hey, do you want to play pool? I want to show you my pool cue." Like he actually
mhm,
says that within seconds of meeting a girl.
yeah. And like the thing is, like you can have like kind of like a lovable loser who's not good with the ladies or something like, there's like characters you can do that are still like charming, but he is just like, there's no like redeeming things about him. He's just annoying and yeah, like
Yeah,
just
I mean,
really like gross and
they're all shades of annoying, but he's probably the most annoying.
yeah.
But he gets asked to stand up in the, and this is the thing. This stair's not even that bad, really. Like the rest of them are all
Hmm.
dangerous. This stair's just stand up in the pool table and show the entire bar your dick, right? And he's like, okay,
Yeah.
fine, and he's going to do it, but he gets a couple of hecklers, and it's like, oh, well, screw you, then I'm not
Hmm.
going to do it. And he gets all kind of like butthurt.
And everyone like starts. I think the big thing is like everyone starts taking out their phone, and then he realizes like, ooh, are people gonna
Yeah.
record this?
And then like the
Oh,
demon takes over, and he just kind of like he trips himself and hits his head on the pool table and just like snaps his neck, and it's like okay,
yeah.
it's a decent enough death, I suppose, but you know,
I did think it was kind of interesting that like yeah, he goes to kind of like lean forward and it looks like he's gonna get impaled on a pool cue, and then someone like like saves him, and it's kind of like, oh, okay. But that is interesting though. It's like, oh yeah, like they're not going for the obvious death there, but then yeah, he just walks in the other direction 2 seconds later.
yeah, that was something else I never really played with, is the idea that if someone stops them the first time, that they'll keep trying different ways. Like they never really bring that
Yeah.
up again. It's just kind of in this scene. And then of course some other
No.
ones. Penelope.
Well,
Would you want to jump in with them?
sorry. Just one thing. I just going back to Ronnie. Though one thing that I did think was like is stupid but kind of funny is like, whenever everyone does like the big wide-eyed Joker grin Snapchat
Mm-hmm.
horror filter thing, like most people are usually scared and put off by him, but I did kind of like that he was into it. Like I think when the girl says it, he says something like, "Ooh, like you're weird, but I like it," or like
Yeah.
something like that. That I'm like, all right, I don't know. It made me chuckle a little bit.
Yeah, so we had like other dares. We had Penelope up in the roof. Like she was told to like drink the booze and like take a step along the edge of the roof. And the other
Well, so
characters know about
no.
this.
Well,
Okay.
technically what they said is she has to walk around the roof until she finishes the bottle. So again, I was thinking like, or she just has to finish it. So could she pour a bunch out and then like finish the last drop? Like, you know what I mean? Again, like what kind of stuff are you working with here?
Yeah, I feel like no, I feel like that's actively not doing the dare. I think finishing the bottle at least implies you have to drink all of it. Um,
Implies yes, but again, does this demon work in like, is it the implication of the dare, or is it like no, like the
mm,
very literal meaning of the sense? Like again, it's not really something they go into or even really ever try to attempt to kind of like put it past him.
I feel like
And again, going back,
I feel like if I dared someone to like finish a bottle and they poured it out and then just drank the last little bit, I would call bullshit on it. So like I wouldn't respect
yeah,
that loophole. I feel like that one's more bullshit. But I mean I can see what you're saying.
I mean, again, it's just like something that maybe might be worth actually exploring and looking into. And same thing with like Ronnie. The dare was the lady doesn't say get up and show me your penis. She says like, oh, why don't you get up and show me your pool cue? Which, admittedly, he just said was using as like a metaphor or whatever for his penis, but technically doesn't the dare still work if he gets up and shows the pool cue? Like I don't know. I just want to know what this demon is working with. How like, how literal does it have to be?
Yeah, nah, man, it's a fair question, but they all know that what's going on at this point, and like a couple of the characters are like actually running around with a mattress in case she falls off the roof, and like one guy's like on the roof with her, like ready to grab her, who does a horrible job by the way. He just doesn't catch her, and she just falls. Um, and she actually survives this, only to die like almost immediately in like the next two scenes, because they go to meet the girl from the start of the movie who was like already part of the game. Because the reason why they're all involved is because Carter, the guy that Olivia meets in Mexico, convinces them all to come to this creepy old church to play Truth or Dare. And he was there to do that. He was already in the game, so now they're all in the game. The idea being that if you're asked the question by anyone who's in the game, you're then in the game as well, and you're part of the circulation. Which is how they try and get out of it at the end, because when we're down to the last two characters, the two ladies, their entire plan is to just put it up on YouTube and say Truth or Dare, so that at the very least it has to go through every person on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, that was super stupid.
Yep.
First of all, like, I guess it's going back to the beginning of the movie when they, first ask her, oh, if you could like save 1 million people or your friends, but like 1 million people die, like what would you do? And she's like, well, let's save the 1 million people, and then obviously turning her back on that. And then also, kind of a ripoff of the ending of Rings. And
already a shitty movie, might we add.
Oh yeah, no, not that. Yeah, not that Rings is like great or anything, but yeah, it's not really original. And then it's so stupid. Like, I don't know. At that point, is it just gonna become like a big like worldwide thing where it's like, I have to call out of work today because like my dare is coming up or something? Like, it'll be a very interesting world that people would live in.
I don't feel that any thought went into this when they just thought it was a bit of a fun ending. And yeah, so that's Olivia's arc, as she learns to like not be a good person like that.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, that's her arc. It's weird. Like,
that's what you want out of a hero.
She could accept that her and her friend are going to die, but no one else has to, and that'll be okay. Like, like she could accept that, and she doesn't. Because her and her friendship with Marky, Violett Beane's character, like that is kind of the core of the movie, and this is where we get to what the dramatic part of the plot is. So, Marky's father. So Marky's dating Tyler, and then Lucy's our main character. Lucy clearly has feelings for Tyler, and everyone kind of knows about it, and it's brought up in the first Truth or Dare game.
Way too obvious.
Yeah, it's way too obvious. Because there's a whole the hands touch as they're like passing luggage to each other, all that stuff. And the asshole medical student Tyson tries to like accuse her of it during just by himself during the first Truth or Dare game. And then as the movie goes on,
so weird.
like, so it's revealed like that also Marky is also cheating on Tyler numerous times. Like, she does that a lot. And one of the truths that Olivia gets is to shout that out, and she shouts that out, and that obviously upsets both of them. And then she's pissed at her. Marky's pissed at her for revealing her secret. And then of course it comes up that she has feelings for Lucas. And then one of the dares, of course, is that Lucas is or Olivia's dared to sleep with Lucas, and this upsets Marky more. So she goes from being mad at her to not being mad at her. And then at one point it dares Marky to break her, Olivia's hand. So and Olivia, and at this point Marky doesn't believe this is real, and Olivia's like, no, you have to do it. You have to break my hand. And she hands her a hammer. It's a whole thing. But so we find out that Marky's father committed suicide. That is brought up like once early on. She's watching like a video, a recording of her dad at a barbecue, like joking around with her. Again, thank God for like Snapchat and Facebook video for all these little recordings. And it's like, okay, fine, we'll set that up. And then later on, in the hammer hand-breaking scene, Olivia finally makes her do it by saying, "Are you going to do it, or are you a coward like your father?" And I was like, okay, all right. So where are we going with this father thing? And it got really obvious at one point because this is the thing. Like, the movie kept telling me that her biggest secret that she was keeping was that Marky was cheating on Tyler, or that she had feelings for Tyler. So she was keeping one from Tyler and one from, or she was keeping both from both. I guess she was keeping that she had feelings for Tyler from both of them, and she was keeping the fact that Marky was cheating from Tyler. But after that,
you sound like such like a gossipy teen.
After that all comes out, though, after this is all revealed through the truths, then the characters start talking about how she's got another big secret, and like the other kid, the Asian kid Brad, like he mentions, oh, you got this big secret, you may have to just bring it up. And he's like, no, I can't do that. I can never reveal that. It would be devastating. And I'm like, well, obviously that's going to come up now that you've said that. And it turns out at the end of the film, she reveals that the Marky's father lost his job. This was like the day before he died, or the day of him killing himself. He came on to her. he was drunk, and she was upset as well, and she had a drink with him, and he came on to her, and he kind of got a little bit forceful, and then she eventually pushed him off, and he tried to apologize, say, "Oh, please don't tell Marky," blah blah blah, so the thing that gets me here is that they want us to like actually feel that she should feel guilty because Olivia just happened to say, "Oh, you'd be, Marky would be better off if you were dead," right? And that's the whole thing. She feels guilty because she might have actually inspired the suicide. Although Marky ends up kind of comforting her by saying, "Well, no, I tried before, so I mean, maybe you did push him over the edge, but he was already, teetering, previously." And this whole thing, it just like, I mean, I guess they teased the fact that the dad committed suicide at the start, but it all of a sudden becomes this other super big dark secret between the two of them, where she like was hiding the fact that her father tried to assault her, so she was preserving the perfect memory of her dad, and then on top of that, they had the fact that she may have inspired the choice to commit suicide on her way out.
And so what's really weird is that like these are such big revelations that you could have an entire movie like about this plot of like
just a drama,
just
a drama about this. Yeah, you could.
But trying to just ham it into this movie where it's like you can't even deal with the consequences, and instead you just have to go like 2 seconds later into the all right, how do we defeat this demon? Like, yeah, no room for emotional development. We just got to get past it. Like it's really weird. Like one of the like stranger ones I thought is the Brad character. Like, his big secret is that he's gay, but his dad doesn't know, and his dad's like this big manly cop. So of course his truth is that he has to come out to his dad, but it's like they don't even show him doing it, and then it's kind of just like like the next scene he's just like, yeah, I was okay with it.
Yeah, like it's
right,
nothing.
So no, fallout or anything.
And maybe you can make a point with that, but I still think we had to see it. Like for his dad to go, "Hey, I don't care, son. I love you anyway. Like I really don't give a shit." Like that would have been, I don't think it'd have been a good scene in this movie, but like that'd be like a nice point to make if they wanted to do that scene. But instead, it happens off camera.
Also,
we don't even care.
Yeah, and also a wasted opportunity. So like, when people are about to, get the truth or dare thing, if there's no one around, they'll usually like see it like on a wall or something, like they'll see it graffitied or on their car. So when it's like Brad's turn, he's at this hospital vending machine looking at all these chips, and I was like, oh, I really hope one of the bag of chips just says truth or dare. Like I was getting like really amped.
No, we have to get the
creepy
sick person to do it. We have to get the creepy sick person, just a really generic like garbage horror movie thing to do.
Wasted opportunity.
I am so sick of bad supernatural horror movies at this point. Like, we have had so many garbage ones over the last few years. I am so done with them.
I love like supernatural stuff. Like that's like more my bread and butter when you're talking about horror movies. But when it's bad, it's so bad, and especially like lately they've been pretty bad.
Oh, it's so rough. And then Carter, the guy who tricks them into like playing the game, he's like kind of Harry Potter looking. He looks like Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
Older Daniel Radcliffe, obviously not kid Daniel Radcliffe, but he like. He kind of leaves the movie, and he's kind of like the guy from It Follows who, like, has sex with the main character.
Oh, right.
That's basically like what was making me think of It Follows, is because they find him, and just like in It Follows, he's got an apartment where he's blocked out all the windows so that no one can get to him to tell him truth or dare. He's got no screens, he's got nothing there's no possible way that it could message him. Even though this is purely supernatural, it totally could. There's no rules to this, but he's pretending like there is rules.
Yeah,
and that's just more frustrating almost. So, but they end up finding him, and they find the nurse lady who can't speak, and I'm like, oh, she's going to have to cut out her tongue. Like that's what the sacrifice is going to be. So they have to make the person who started the game, which in this case is Carter, to go back to the church, and again they just drive there like easily. And
well, I mean, let's not gloss over. We find out the whole backstory of this demon. So it's like
I really wish we could, Tim. I really wish we could. Go on. Go on.
Well, I mean, just to give context, like, so these group of nuns back in the day, wait, no, not nuns. They're orphans. It was at an orphanage, and one of them just happened to know like spells and black magic. So they summon this demon, which I think I missed this, but I watched this with Melissa, and then I was like, wait, they just like summoned the demon for no reason? She said no, like they summoned it to ward off the priest that I guess was attacking them or something. Is that true? Did I miss that?
No, I think that's right. I'll be honest, I
Like,
kind of zoned out during that
yeah,
explanation
this
scene
is
because
yeah.
it
So
was just
it's super.
bullshit. It was just generic
Yeah,
bullshit backstory that you get in all these movies. It meant nothing.
yeah. But so basically, there's some of this demon or whatever, and then I guess the demon possesses the game because I guess they're playing Truth or Dare back then
Hmm.
too. Yeah, and then you find out that in order to seal the demon away, you have to the person who starts the game, I guess, has to cut off their tongue and put it in this bottle, and then the other group that was playing it before the start of the movie breaks the bottle open, which is how the demon, which I think his name was like Klaxu or something, something stupid like that,
Yeah,
escapes.
I don't even know. I was so out of it. I did not give a shit about what the demon's backstory was because it also felt so forced in. Like it wasn't even a concern for like 2/3 of the movie, and then
Oh no, yeah.
all of a sudden we just get this exposition dump from this character who's just the
Mhm,
same stock character that we get in all of
mhm.
these bad supernatural movies, and then they go off. But
Yeah,
okay,
it's
actually,
always like some.
I was gonna say, this movie's an hour 40, which is like too long.
Jeez.
Like,
Yeah,
I was like so mad when I looked at the time that I had left. I'm like, what? This is over 90 minutes? How dare they? How dare? The one good thing about
yeah.
these shitty horror movies is that they tend not to be longer than 90 minutes.
Mhm.
What are you gonna say, Tim? I jumped in with that burst of anger. It's fine.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah, that it is such a trope at this point that like you always have like the old like it's always like an old lady. It's either in an insane asylum or a hospital, uh, or in this case, is just like in some tiny house like in the middle of Mexico or something. But yeah, it's always like yeah, some old lady. And then it seems like it's some big revelation at the end where they're giving the backstory, and at the end, like, and I was that little girl, and they're like, oh,
I mean, I don't even know. What are these people in? I think Lucy Hale's from Pretty Little Liars. That seems to be what she's known for. That's why she's
the
the name.
the only the only other person I recognized was Brad, who was in Edge of 17.
Okay, I haven't seen that, but that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
It's a good like coming of age teen movie.
And apparently Lucy Hale was in Scream 4 as well, but I don't remember her.
Oh, okay. I can't remember her character, but I'm like, yeah, I can see her being in that movie.
Yeah, yeah, you can see her totally being there. This is just this was like it's not the worst thing we've ever watched, but it's definitely
Sure.
amongst the most generic bad we've ever watched.
Yeah.
Like it's such a watered down. I don't know if it was
Mm,
PG-13, but it felt like PG-13.
yeah. No, yeah, I can definitely see that. Man, there's some stuff that was like, I don't know, kind of making me like chuckle at how bad it was. Like the scene with the asshole guy Tyson doing the medical interview. Like that like in itself is not funny, but I was laughing like at all of them like running and slamming on the door trying to like get his attention to warn him and stuff, which is just like, where do they think they are? Like they're acting like crazy.
Yeah, he just kills himself by stabbing himself in the eye with a pen. His lucky pen, might
Yeah.
we add, his lucky doctor pen,
Mhm.
because he's got a whole thing where he's forging subscriptions for freshman students to get
Mhm.
drugs, and
Yeah.
Olivia's got a problem with this. Of course, Olivia's like, no, you shouldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Of course, he
And
shouldn't.
then I do, and
That's-
I kind of feel bad for Marky. Like it feels like she's like weirdly gets shit on like the most in this movie because it feels like she should be another main character, but like it seems like all like the really hurtful truths like are about her, and like it seems like every time she learns one, she just kind of runs off, and we like forget about her for a while.
yeah, she's arguably. I mean, I wouldn't say she's interesting, but she's much more interesting
Mhm.
than Olivia is, and so it's
Yeah.
kind of weird that we're focused on
Yeah.
Olivia.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh, what was that weird pause to?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Okay, all right, all right. It just there was a weird pause. It was kind of like, oh, I was like, what? Did you expect some other big point? I was leading into. What's going on? So you like this then, Tim?
Oh, God no. Uh, and hey, I'll own up when I like a dumb movie, but this, nah, this is bad.
Like the boy.
Um, I wouldn't call that dumb, but Uh, one thing that this will probably be like the last maybe thing to kind of touch upon that we haven't really talked about is towards the end, like um not that I think this was great, but kind of interesting when she gets the demon to actually play in the game to become a player. I was like, okay, like this is interesting. Where are you going with this? But then it's such a like, all right, it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah, no,
afterwards,
no, because it
and like
all because the demon just picks truth, and she's like, "Oh, how do we get out of this alive?" And it honestly answers, "You can't. You're screwed." Like that's it. And then they came up with a stupid plan for the YouTube video.
yeah, but I think it would have been much more interesting if you get the demon in the game and then you try to think of like some type of, logic trap or something where they have to answer something but they can't, and then the demon dies or something like.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
The movie's already so stupid at that point, but I was like hoping for something like that.
Again, that would be playing with its rules, but I feel like its rules are so wishy-washy. They don't really establish them properly, outside of one or two things, and like that would be how to do it. Like have them outsmart the demon. Like if you want to do the good version of this movie, that's maybe what you do. Maybe not have the stupid way they're asked to truth or dare, but the other weird, people. That'd be a start as well.
Okay. And all right, and obviously, all right. So if we think about this logically, they get roped into the game by going to that location, and that guy Carter making them play Truth or Dare. But in the end, they try to do the same thing only by YouTube. But can you? I don't know if you can play Truth or Dare via YouTube because you're looking at someone and asking them Truth or Dare, but then you don't see what their answer is, so you're unable to ask them. Like, is that really people being part of the game?
That's an excellent point.
Did anyone, let's see, was there ever at any point a second draft of the script? Like,
I'm not even sure if they finished the first draft, Tim, to be honest. I feel like I feel like there was an outline on like 5 pages, and then they just kind of made up the rest on set. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, the Truth or Dare, sexy teens. All right, done.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we've said everything we want to say, Tim. I don't think I can milk any more crap out of this. So what do you want to rate it out of 10?
Jeez, like I'm trying to think if like there's like one positive, like one little thing that I can be like, oh well, hey, how about this?
Nope.
But I think I'm gonna give it a 2, and the reason why it's not just like an absolute 1 is because it's it's not like it was impossible to watch. Like it's it's not like it was hard to hear them or the footage was cutting out and stuff.
It was technically proficient.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes like if a movie's like really really bad quality, like sometimes like you don't even like looking at the picture because it's like is so bad or whatever. It's like all right, but
I mean it didn't look good.
I was trying to think if
like it didn't look like it had style. Right. It didn't look like it had any sort of interesting visuals, but it didn't look like underlit or anything like that. Like it, they lit the scenes. I mean, they lit it too well. They lit it like a TV show, but like it was technically like acceptable.
Yeah,
I could see and hear what was happening. So
yeah.
Yes.
But I was trying to think, like, is there anything I like about it that, sometimes you want to look for something to bump it up to a 2.5 or a 3 to be like, well, I did like this one little aspect, but no, like, even the premise I can't say that I liked.
Nah, not really.
There's
like
nothing here.
I saw potential here or there just based on the idea of, okay, if you've got all these rules, then you can have the characters try and outsmart them based on the rules, but it never really did that or anything like that. So, now I have to agree with the 2. I think a 2 out of 10 is exactly what I'd give this. So, there you go. That's Truth or Dare. So I guess I'll ask the audience, Truth or Dare, and you're going to pick Dare. I'm not accepting Truth. I don't care what your truths are. But your Dare is to go over to patreon.com/MaleFuzzTV and support us, pick a tier. You get some stuff early, you get to vote on a movie once a month on Screams as well as the other movie shows, and you get to feel warm and fuzzy inside. Mildly fuzzy, one might say. But if you can't do that, don't worry too much. You can also support us by liking, subscribing, comment, and all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mail_fudge for channel updates. And it's worth going over to the Patreon anyway, just to see all the links to all the different shows, all the audio feeds, all that stuff. It's all on Patreon. So nice and handy. There's a link in the description below. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we'll see you next time.